Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are wrapping up the month of April in my reading journal and we are straight into the first challenges in this book. I already had filled in my bookshelfie and my reading mosaic tracker. That's why we flipped right through them. But if you're new here, I have 3 journals that I use every month. We're going to fill them in so they're all up to date. So the first page that we're working on was this 2-page spread here. On the left-hand side was the Read the Rainbow, and I added The River Has Roots to the white category, and I only have orange to go. And then on the right-hand side here, we are filling in my Day's Red Pixel. This is one of my favorite pages to fill in every month because it generates a visual guide of what my reading trends look like, and I really like that. So you can see on the screen right now the color key code for this particular page, and if you're new here, the left hand pixel chart is for Days Red, so every day has a color, and then on the right hand side it's a little bit spottier, and that is only marked when I finish a book. So you can already see 4 months in where trends are starting to form, what days I particularly choose to finish a book, that kind of thing. And I'm really enjoying seeing it coming together like this. Now we're on to the A to Z challenge, and this is being focused on authors this year. I alternate each year. So last year I did titles, and this year we're doing authors, and I choose to use the surname. So I only added one, and that was Mara Rutherford. So that is R now ticked off, I should say. We're now moving on to the book club reads page, and this one is a little bit different because I do have to add in some stuff that I was meaning to and didn't have enough sticker paper for space on the sticker paper last month. And I'm also going to add in May's book club reads. At the start of the year, I should have done a second book club page or a Dutch door style, and that is definitely going to be happening next year. But I do belong to 2 book clubs, and I try to read at least 1 book from each per month. Sometimes I'll read just 1 book club. As you can see, in April, we didn't have a read for To Whatever End. That is the book club that I co-host. And so there is no little door put on that one. But for the rest of them, I've had to create little doors. And I should have gone with a tip-in system, but I didn't think that one through back then. But this is what I've come up with now. So they've got little doors on them. We're going to create one more little door today for May. And I'm just using little stickers that have either GBC on it or TWE. So TWE standing for To Whatever End, and GBC belonging to the Goober Book Club. And yeah, it's working really well. It is a little bit of work to make these little doors. I'm going to show you how I make it. I did show you last time as well, but you perhaps are new here and have not seen a wrap-up video from me before. So let's get into it. First thing I'm going to do is cut it down to size, and then I'm going to use the scoring tool on this paper trimmer to create the little flap that I can then stick down with some double-sided tape and create the door. It's very straightforward. Sometimes they aren't as straight as I would like them to be, particularly this one, but it works out in the end that I'm able to put my May book club covers on. And as I'm narrating this video, I've actually read both of them already, and they are currently my worst reads of the month. So yeah, not a great month for book clubs, but we're actually talking about April, so I will discuss that next month. And over April, I read a total of 14 books, which is pretty decent, but I did say previously, because this is actually not my first narration of this video, unfortunately, I got to the very end and found out that it had not recorded what I said, so I'm trying to remember what I said, but it was a very weird month of reading for me. On paper, 14 books is fantastic, and I always get a little bit weird about when I get messages when I do my monthly wrap-ups on Instagram, and it's by no means anyone being like weird themselves, but I always find it weird when they're like, oh, you've had a great month, and for me it may not feel that way. And this was definitely one of those months. I got 14 books done. I had 2 5-star reads. And I know for some people, they may have not even had a 5-star read this year. But it just didn't feel right. That's the best way to put it. I just I don't come away from the month feeling like I read something that was amazingly awesome every single day. There was, like I said, 2 5-star reads. One was a reread, and the other 5-star read was absolutely fantastic. It was The Far Away Inn by Sarah Beth Durst, which you're going to see being put down on this page, along with all 14 books that I read. I am going to also add on some 2 extra little blue squares, rectangles I should say, onto this. I'm just looking for where I stuck the rest of the paper that I hadn't used yet, and we'll cut those out now. But yeah, it was an amazing book, The Far Away Inn. If you are someone who loves cozy fantasy, and this one is YA, but if you still love that type of genre, I think it's still fine, even if you prefer adult. This was just lovely. It had all the things that I enjoy in a cozy fantasy. There's enough intrigue to keep going, because sometimes I find the stakes are just too low. There's great characters. There is sort of an obstacle to get over. It was just really delightful, and I would love to see more in that world. So if you also read cozy fantasy, highly recommend putting this on to your TBR. I was very fortunate to get an early audiobook copy, or an ALC, and thoroughly loved it. I was actually really sick at the time when I listened to it, and I went to bed and it was the best way to go to sleep. Like, obviously I was awake for the whole book and then went to bed after it, but it was just nice to just relax in bed and listen to this cozy story with great magic and great found family. And yeah, so this is the 14 books that I read. The lowest rated book was 3 stars, and I had 3 of them. And I will say that whilst 3 stars is not necessarily a bad rating for me, it can be sometimes. And so I actually just feel like those 3 books were kind of meh. That's the best way to put it. So I did have a bit of a trouble trying to figure out which was the most meh book out of the 3 of them, if that makes any sense. But the rest of this is all set up for April. We're now going to work on this page here. So yeah, that does get sorted out. You will see in my next journal portion of this video what that book ends up being. I also had a fun time listening to 3 different classic books. Obviously, I mentioned that I reread Pride and Prejudice. That was a reread for me. And it was my first time listening to the audiobook of it. So that was fun. But I am not a classics reader. The last time I read a classics book was Moll Flanders, and I had to read it for university, and I absolutely hated it. So you can imagine that I quit literature very quickly into my degree and moved on to history and creative writing instead. Anyway, that being said, I am participating in a year-long readathon, and each month it focuses on a different genre, and I am a fantasy reader through and through. So I have been managing I do read romance as well, and historical romance. So I have been managing to sort of do genre blends up until this point. Obviously, for middle grade March, so last month in March, I did middle grade books. I was able to read fantasy middle grade books, so that worked out really well. This time round, it wasn't quite so straightforward. I couldn't just pick up a fantasy classics. I'm sure like Narnia would have been cool, but I just could not get my hands on it. It was out of reach from the library. So I did end up reading Anne of Green Gables. I read Aesop's, I hope I'm saying that right, Aesop's Fables, and then I also did the reread of Pride and Prejudice, as you know. And I really enjoyed it. It's not necessarily my go-to to read that type of thing. So I am finding the process of using this readathon really fun, because I'm getting to read things that I don't necessarily always get the chance to do. Now you can see that I made a huge mistake on making this tip in. Unfortunately, I put the line 1 row down. This tip in ends up having a lot of mistakes on it, and by the end of it, it looks fine. I accept it very easily, but this is the downside to doing journaling when you're sick. And I was very poorly. I had a really late start to setting up for May. And so if you've watched that video, you would know that I mentioned this in there. I then filled this all in after I'd done the May setup. So I was already working on that process and feeling stressed out from getting behind. though the only pressure that I had on my shoulders was my own pressure, but still I feel this level of needing to perform, especially when the camera is going. I know that I don't need to perform for anyone, and you guys will be here for whatever I share, and if I don't feel like sharing something, then I won't. But equally, there is this level of pressure that you don't necessarily realize you're putting on your shoulders. I definitely think it's a subconscious pressure to perform, and I do fall trap to it quite often. And so when you add that into the mix of being sick and tired, these things started happening. As you can see, I also used the wrong color marker. I had two that were very close in color for this particular month, so that the last two sections there were slightly darker than the rest of the page, but I just don't fix that. But I do fix these numbers because I accidentally stamped 11 and 12 instead of 13 and 14. And yeah, easy mistakes to make. They're all coverable. I've put sticker paper or correction tape over top and moved on from them. I will admit, by the end of this page, though, I was very glad to see the back of it. And that just happens when you're journaling. I am a very transparent person, and I like to share the mistakes as well as the highlights of journaling. And like I mentioned at the time, I was frustrated, but now I'm looking at it and just going, it's fine. Like, the page works, it looks fine, it's all come together. We're not even going to worry about it anymore. And I think it's good to be at that point now, because I used to be someone who would hold myself accountable as a perfectionist for so long, for making like mistakes like that, even though they're fixable. I have come a long way, but I would like to point out that I think as a topic, some people may look at journalers and think, wow, they've got this together. They know what they're doing. This looks amazing. Like, I follow some journaling people online myself, and I'm just like in awe, and they never make mistakes on camera that I've seen. And it just all looks so fluid and so nicely done. And yeah, but we all make mistakes. And also, I think we all feel the same sort of pressure on ourselves to perform, to make sure our stuff looks good. You know, sharing your content when it's journaling, you're already putting in a lot of time and effort to just journal. And it is a hobby, but equally there is a level of pressure when you start to share it with other people. You want to have like a good looking spread. You want to be able to share some ideas with others. You know, it's a big community. We are all really supportive of each other, but I'm sure I'm not the only one who sits here and has these little moments of pressure and finding journaling to be not the escapism tool that I usually use it for, but it's stressful. And in this case, this particular wrap up along with setting up for May was quite stressful for me, and I just wanted to share that with you all because, like I've mentioned many a time, I am very honest, to the point that I share maybe a bit too much at times, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of knows that journaling is fun and I want people to enjoy it for what it is. But you will have times where you're sitting there looking at a page going, I hate this, I just want to cover it up. And so you will. Or you're just like, I just want to get this done. Like, I'm sick of looking at this. And that will happen. And I'm not the only one that feels that way, I'm sure. So we're now done with this portion of fixing things and filling in. We now get to the fun part of this spread. I always enjoy this every single month. I know it's silly because they're just little stickers and the information's already down on the page. Like, you can see that I have next to where it says ebook, I have in brackets ARC, and I'm going to put a sticker down that says ARC. So it's a bit of repetitive nature of these stickers. Also have a segment for format, but these stickers I don't know, they just bring me so much joy to put down. I made them myself and I just love putting them down on the page. So that is what we're doing right now. We're putting the format stickers down the right hand side of every column. And is it column or row? I think it's row, isn't it? And then I'm going to put down the ARC and ALC stickers on those particular segments, because I think I had like 6 of them from memory. There was about 6 ARCs that I had over the month of April that I completed. I also completed 2 series, I believe. And I do end up missing that initially when I go into my next journal, but we do come back to it. The video for that particular journal is a little over the place. I'm not going to lie. And it just goes to show that my brain was particularly not in the best space to be doing this. But here we are in that particular journal. This is the Reading Data Journal. If you're new, I'm going to fill in the series tracker. I'm going to add in a couple of things onto this. My color for 2026 is purple, if you haven't picked up. And so I'm just going to add in anything that I feel like that needs to go on here. I do miss it that I finished the Wildflower Ridge series by 𝓚𝓲𝓼. We do come back and complete that off. And I think it was the month before, actually, that I finished a 𝓚𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼 series. So I thought I finished 2 in this one, but I think it's only 1, actually, now that we look back on it. So I'm just going to add in a new series that I started. Admittedly, a lot of the books that I picked up in April were only standalones. I am considering whether or not I'm going to continue with the Anne of Green Gables series. I quite liked it. It took me a long time to get into it, but I don't know when I'm going to have time for it. So that's why I haven't jotted it down on the series tracker. I am now just on my goals page here. Not a lot to add here. I'm still trucking along a little bit, but I will say that I have no proof of it in video form, but I have complained in my first quarter flip through that I wasn't doing very well with my goals, and then realized I was actually not doing badly at all. But there was one goal that I was not doing well with, and that was to hit up my Kindle backlist and try and read at least 1 book per month, so I could sort of start decluttering it. And so I did work on that. And I've made a little journal with all the books. There's like 200 and something books on there that are not read, that I need to get through. Things that I've used on Stuff Your Kindle Day, and just grabbed just literally every book that sounded remotely okay. And so I did take some time in April to set that up. And then I also sat there and ended up going through with a random number generator, and then just trying to find books that interested me. And thankfully, a lot of them did not. So I've been just instantly going, right, no, that's not something I want to read anymore, and removing it. So there is some decluttering that's been happening. And I did end up reading a book off there, which is a really weird one. It was Snapdragon. It was a monster romance. I don't read monster romance. So again, not sure why it was on my Kindle, but it was everything that I sort of expected from it. So yeah, ended up giving it 3.5 stars. So we have sped through the genres, star ratings, page length, and format little, what are they, like tallies, the 4 pages there that we've just been looking at. I really enjoy that. It's such a great visual page now, as opposed to last year where I did individual box per book. This is the yearly stats omnibus done, and as you can see, I'm coming back to this page yet again, and that's when I remembered Wildflower Ridge needed to have its little moment to be finished off, and the little red bar means there's no more books to read in that series. So yeah, as I was saying, actually can't remember what I was saying. Yeah, we sped through those pages, and now the omnibus is all filled in. Very happy with that. And now we're on to the DNFs and rereads. Now, last month's wrap up, I mentioned there was a book that I had DNF'd in March, and I forgot to put it in the wrap up, and so I'd add it to April. Do you know what that book was? Because I have no idea. It's not on my DNF list. It's not in my little student diary that I keep all my little information in. I have absolutely no idea what book it was. So it's not on the list. These 3 books that I am DNFing for April were books that I did DNF in April. And yeah, very odd little experiment that happened there. But the 3 books, out of the 3 of them, 2 of them were ARCs, which was really unfortunate. One of them, a lot of my friends also DNF'd, so I feel a little bit validated by my DNF there, which is a shame because the book had such a great concept, and I was really looking forward to it, and then it was just really boring. If you want to find out why I DNF things, or any of my reviews if I'm up to date, and I can tell you that I'm not, please check out my Goodreads and Storygraph. I think I have them in the description below. linked for you if you want to go check and follow me there. That's absolutely fine. I'll see you there. But yeah, it was very boring, so I gave up. And then the other one, I just couldn't relate to the character whatsoever. And the other book that I DNF'd was a monster romance, which is really weird that I managed to finish another one. But I think it was just more so that, how to put this, because I don't read romance in a way that I'm looking for the romantic elements. And I thought the world building in Whispers of the Deep by Emma Han sounded all right. I just wanted to read a mermaid romance where the mermaid or merman is present. It was just something that I was interested in finding. It was recommended to me, so I thought I would read it. And unfortunately, I just couldn't get into it. I listened to the first 25% and then I had every intention of continuing it. And then every time I thought about if I was going to pick it up again, I just didn't. So I just left it. It wasn't a poor book. It was just, I don't think I was the right reader for it, really. So yeah, maybe I was just looking for more romance right away. I'm not sure. Because I'm definitely not someone who reads romance books for the smut. And I have no judgment towards people who do. That's just not me. I look for emotional connection and stuff. And so I'm not really sure why, but I just felt a little bit let down by it. So I DNF'd. We're now on to the monthly stat page. And I do have to preface this with, this is around the point where my camera starts to die. So every month you'll notice it if you've watched all these videos. Wrapping up these pages, there's sort of a trend that I've found. I can get to this point and then both my batteries are not ready to go. So I'll start out with 2 full batteries, and then when the first battery dies, I put that obviously on charge, swip to the next one and carry on. And then obviously by the time that one dies, the other one still hasn't quite finished charging. And so I'm impatient and want to just get it done because I'm already in the zone. So it's always this page in particular that ends up having some sort of time jump. And I just wanted to address that. That is something that I've noticed recently, that it's always on this page. I thought I was missing footage, and then I realized actually, no, you're just impatient and you won't wait for it, the 30 minutes for the battery to be fully charged. So that is my little admission. But for now, you will get to see most of the page getting set up. And I'm just going to grab my book. I hope it doesn't make too much rustling, so I can get the stats up for you all, because I realize that I've talked a little bit, but not about the actual stats of the month. So I've got my book now. It's going to make a little noise. I do apologize. So I accidentally stopped the recording, but we're back to it. So the core stats is going to get set up on the page in a minute. I did cut out my favorite book and my least liked book. And like I mentioned before, there were three stars that all three felt very meh to me. But the one I did end up choosing as my least liked was Heart Racer by Megan Avery. It just didn't really hit as well as I would like it to. I came into the idea knowing it would be a bit predictable, but the characters felt very juvenile, and I didn't really like either character towards the end, so that is why I ended up giving it 3 stars, and that is why it's my least liked book. But let's look at the core stats first while I stick down the title here on the page. So for books read, like you've mentioned, 14 were read. That equated to 4,620 pages, and that is lower than necessary, because a lot of the books that I did read were either shorter, like some of them were novellas. I did read a non-fiction with my sister. It was an introduction to Egyptology. We had a really great time, but because I read it to her, I decided to mark it down. It was a full book that we read together, and that was only 96 pages. So as you can see, that is where the page count is down. My average was 3.8, so that's been pretty much how it's been all year. I listened to 17.4 hours. I had 6 arcs. I DNF'd 3 books. I hired out 6 books from the library and read them. I had 5 books that were part of a series and 9 were standalones, which is not usual. It's normally more series than standalones, so I was appreciative of that for a change. I didn't participate in any buddy reads over the month of April. I did, however, have one book club read, which was The River Has Roots, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. It was very lovely. I hauled 3 books and I unhauled nothing. So as we move on, this is where the time jump has happened. And I'm just going to do these pie charts for you all, and I will read out the stats for those as follows. So for star ratings, I had 2 5 stars, 2 4.5 stars, 5 4 stars, and 2 3.5 stars, and 3 3-star reads. For format, I had 1 physical read, that was the non-fiction with my sister, 7 ebooks, 5 audiobooks, and 1 mixed read, and that was The River Has Roots, because I listened to the audiobook as well as read the physical library book. And let me tell you, if you're going to listen to the audiobook, be prepared, because it has like immersive type music and singing and all that. And at first I was very shocked. And I listened at 3 times speed. So the music and the singing sounded really weird at first, but I got used to it and I really liked it. So just giving you a heads up there. Audience level, I had 8 adult books and 2 young adult and 4 middle grade books. I had 4 fantasy books for genres, 1 romantasy, 2 romance, 3 paranormal reads, and 4 other, and that was 3 classics and the 1 non-fiction. So yeah, overall, when you look at the stats, it was a pretty decent month. Having 5 4-star reads is a good thing, and there were some definitely good books that came out of the month of April. I just feel like I'm so detached from it at the moment because it is in the middle of May already. Well, it's not quite, but I just feel like I'm so focused on the Goober Readathon, which I've actually filmed me setting up, and that will be the next video that goes live. I've been so focused on trying to get that done, and also participating in the year-long readathon with all the genres and focusing on a new genre, that I just feel like April went by in a blink and I can't really remember it as well as I'd like. That doesn't mean that I didn't take in what I read, and I definitely had some books that I still am thinking about to this moment. But yeah, it's just one of those weird situations where you feel like, you feel really detached from it, and that's how I feel right now, except for The Faraway Inn. Absolutely loved that book so much. So that is this journal done. I'm going to do a little flip through now before we move into the final journal, and that is going to be a very, very quick visit into my Gamifying reading journal, because I just need to stick down some covers for the prompts that I have achieved. I do want to try and catch up on that over June, so that is going to be a goal of mine, to try and catch up on all the ones that I am missing. So as you can see, I've been using a little white coloured pencil to mark down what needs to go in each box, and we're just going to cover that up. So for the buzzword challenge for the first section, we've got 2 being added. So that's for the covers, sorry. I didn't do really any title books. I've been having a really hard time with the buzzword title challenge. Easy reading challenge got finished. A Year of Goober, both books added on. Really happy with how the Year of Goober readathon is going, and I'm really looking forward to sharing the month-long readathon with you all when I set that up and share it with you all. I'm actually staring at it right now off to the side on the screen, and I'm about to fill in all the books that I've already read for it. So that is underway, and I'm really looking forward to it. We're now at the map of stories, which is the one that I'm talking about that's genre related, and I'm just going to add down those 3 genres that I read for classics. Sorry, 3 books that I read for classics. Sorry, I am extremely exhausted and I do apologize. And so for May is actually thriller, and I'm finding it really challenging. Anyway, we are now going in to the final flip through in the main journal again, and that is the end of this video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I hope that you're doing really well, and until we next meet, I hope you have fun reading or journaling. Thank you again for spending some time with me, especially with me being a little bit tired and low energy, and I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.